How are you going to pass that real estate exam? Well, you're going to get your mindset ready first. You've got to believe in yourself and affirm it so that you can actually take action and study all those questions until you get 100, and then learn your vocabulary so that you pass that exam if that is what you want. Okay? You've got to want it bad enough in order to pass it. Okay, I've learned a lot in the last few years, and it's one thing is you have to repeat in order to succeed. Focus on one thing that you believe in and do it and take action. All right, so this is Wild Lillie Hendy coming to you from San Antonio, Texas with YouTube Agent Prep to help you prepare for your real estate exam, the national portion that applies to all 50 states and for Texas State, being that I am a Texas realtor. And for anyone watching the replay, this class is designed to students participate, answer questions, so you can fast forward between questions. All right, so those of you that are here, we're going to review questions and we're continuing with math. Okay, we'll hopefully do 5 math and 5 national, and then 5 Texas State. We're going to call it quits at about 8 o'clock. All right, so that you can enjoy your evening, prepare for Thanksgiving, and have an awesome time. All right, so let's get with it. Hey, and so I just want to share with you something that I'm going to end up posting. I have been stretching the envelope on myself. I did not like cold calling. I did not like being on video. I am doing it now. So I was cold calling today for 2 hours, and I set 2 appointments for next week. Yoo-hoo! And this is what I want all of you to do once you get your real estate license, to represent sellers. The more sellers you represent, the more time you have to get lead generate, and then potentially get some buyers to call you on those properties and double side it. What does it mean to double side? That means you write the offer, you have the listing and you also write the offer for the buyer. Doesn't mean you represent both sides, but you make the money for both sides. Okay. So you see on here, we're on 1036, and these are math problems. So an office building investor sees a listing of an office building, which is priced at $2 million. He loves the property, but he knows he needs to make a return of at least 8% to satisfy his partners. If the building is 25,000 square feet, rents for $10 per square foot per year, has a 5% vacancy and annual expenses of $70,000. Should he buy it? What is his return? What is their return? Okay, so how would you get started with this? So they want, they have a yield. Let me see here. So will they yield A? No, since he will yield 2%. Yes, since he will yield 8.375. C, yes, since they will yield 8%. Or D, yes, since he will yield 9.125. So the question is, what is their return when they are having a building, listing an office building at $2 million? They have a rate of return of 8%. To satisfy their partners. The building is 25,000 square foot and it rents for $10 per square foot every year. And however, they have 5% vacancy, meaning they rent 95%, and they have an annual expense, operating expenses of $70,000. So we're going to end up using here the formula R equals I divided by V. Okay, so rate equals income divided by value, where the value is what? $2 million, right? So let me see if I got my, I think I got a whiteboard so that I can help you all. So let me get that whiteboard here. I thought I had it ready. Obviously not. But bear with me a moment here while I get the whiteboard so that we can work towards this math problem, through this math problem. Oh, I think I opened it and then I closed it. Hey, it's an exciting day, okay? Because I did cold calling for 2 hours and set 2 appointments and contacted 117 persons during that time. I didn't talk to that many. Okay, here. I've got to log in. Internet's a little bit slow, so bear with us. Patience, patient, for tomorrow. Hey, no problem. Okay. All right. So we're using the formula. So the question asks for what is their return? Okay. So what is their rate of return? So rate. Okay. I like black, and let's get a bigger rate equals income divided by value. So we're looking for the rate. They have, let's see, annual expenses are $70,000 and they rent the building. They have 25,000 square foot. They rent it for $10 per square foot per year. So we have to calculate the amount and then divide by 12, right? Because we're looking for, well, no, we have the annual expense, so that's okay. All right, so we're going to calculate, the price is 2 million, right? So first we have 25,000 square feet. Okay, times 10,000, I'm sorry, $10 per square foot. So the square feet will go out and we have what? 250,000, right? So 25K times 10 gives us 250,000. And the unit is what? Dollars. So it's $250,000. So that is the gross income. So now we have to subtract 5% vacancy. So 5% of that. So we've got 250K. %5 vacancy. Okay, that equals what? So that is 12,500. Okay, so they're getting, we're subtracting 25,000 because they have 25,500 that they're not earning. So it's 250,000 minus the 12,500 minus the expenses. Okay, so 250 minus the vacancy rate, which was 5%. okay, minus what? 70. What do they have as far as expenses? They have 70,000, okay, of annual expenses. So it's minus 70,000. And this is all in dollars. So what does that give us? That gives us 167,500. That is the net income. So the amount of rent minus 5% vacancy minus the annual expenses gives us 167 net income. So now we want to divide that by 2 million, because what was the formula? Rate, okay? Rate equals income divided by value. So we know that the value is 2 mil. All right, and we know now that the income is what? 100 and, what did I say? I lost my place. 167.5. So we're dividing dollars by dollars to get the rate. Okay, so what is 167,500 divided by 2 million? Excuse me. So the answer here ends up being 8.3. So it says should he buy or not? What is the return? So the return is 8.375. So yes, they should buy, because it says he loves the property, but he knows he needs to make a return of at least 8% to satisfy their partners. And when we calculate this, right, we have 167,000 divided by 2 million. It's going to give us a rate of 8.375. Therefore, yes, they should buy it. So 8.375% is the rate. So the answer is yes, they should buy it. Okay, the answer there is B. I did all that typing and it didn't type. All right. So far, so on. So we may not get to do that many problems, okay? Because I said I would only do the class for an hour. So we may do 2 or 3 problems and then go to some Texas State questions. So who's actually here? Say hi on the chat. I thought Miss Cindy was going to be here. Okay, so number 37. As you can see, math problems take a little bit more time, or a lot more time, right? So that's why you want to learn all the other information, just in case you're not comfortable with the math. You learn everything else, your vocabulary, the questions, repeat them over and over till you get a 100 score. Okay, number 37. Chad owns a small retail property that he inherited from his father. There are no mortgages or interest expenses connected with the property. Chad takes an annual cost recovery expense of $7,000. Okay, an annual cost recovery expense of $7,000. The property has a monthly gross income of $1,650 and monthly operating expenses of $600. Chad's taxable income from his property will be taxed at a rate of 30%. What is the tax liability for the year? Okay, so let's break the question down. So they own a small retail property that he inherited. They do not have a mortgage nor interest expense, so it's free and clear. Now, Chad takes an annual cost recovery expense of $7,000. The property has monthly gross income of $1,650 and monthly operating expenses. So what is the net income? Okay, per month. Chad's taxable income from this property will be taxed at a rate of 30%, and that is yearly, right? Tax rates are yearly. So what is the tax liability for the year? So we have annual income of $1,650, and we have to multiply by 12, right? Because we're looking for the yearly amount. So what did we say? Monthly gross income, $1,650. Okay, times 12, because we want it for the whole year. So that equals 19,800. Okay, so that is the net, that is the income minus expenses. And what are the expenses? It says annual, $600 monthly expenses. So again, we have to multiply that by 12, right? So 600 times 12. Okay, so that equals 12,600, because this right here, 6 times 12 is 72 plus 2 zeros. So that is 7,200. That's the expenses. So that leaves us with 12,600 net income for the year. Okay, so this is for the year. And this is net income. Okay. All right. So that's that part of it. That is the net operating income. Okay. So we have net operating income. And then it says that Chad takes an annual cost recovery expense of $7,000. So we need to subtract the cost recovery of $7,000. Right? And that equals what? 5,600, because this was a 12 right there. Okay. So 7 from 12 is 5. So that gives us 5,600. So that is the taxable income. So 12,600 was the net income minus the cost recovery expense. So that leaves us with a net income again of 5,600. So that is then multiplied by the taxable rate. And what is this taxable rate? 30%. Times 30. And so that's going to give us what? 0, 0. Sorry, one too many zeros. 8, and 1. So 3 times 0, right, is 0. 3 times 6 is 18. And this 15. And, gee, that doesn't look like a 6. And this should be 1,800. So that is so 30% of 5,600 is $1,680. So the answer is A. So 1037 is A, which is 1,680. So any questions on that? So what we have to do first is calculate the gross income, right? 1,650 times 12 minus $600 times 12. And that gave us the 12,600 net income. Then we subtracted the cost recovery, annual cost recovery of 7,000. That left us with 5,600. Now we can multiply. That is Chad's taxable income, 5,600. So this is like a tax shelter, the 7,000 recovery expense. So he ends up with a very small amount to be taxed by 30%. So his liability is only $1,680. That's for the year. Okay, well, let's see how long the next question is. We will probably get a chance to do just 3. Because I'm going to let you off early and let myself out early today. So we're on number 38. Okay, number 38. A property has a net income. So income after expenses. Oh, let me show the answer. Okay, a net income of 150,000. Interest payments of 105,000. The principal payment of 30,000. And annual cost recovery of 7,000. So the property's tax rate is 28%, a little bit less than the other problem, right? What is the property's annual tax on income? Okay, so we already know that the net income, we don't have to deduct other expenses. So 150,000 is the net income. They have interest payments of 105,000, principal payments of 30. And then, of course, we're going to end up subtracting the annual recovery cost of 7,000. So again, the formula, let me get this up here. Okay, so the formula here, right? We have taxable income times the tax rate. So the taxable income is the net income minus any recovery fund, right? Equals the tax liability. So taxable income times the taxable rate equals the taxable liability. Okay, so we have an income, the taxable income net operating. So net operating income says NOI. NOI, okay, minus the interest expense, because the interest expense can be written off, minus the cost recovery. Okay, the cost recovery expense. So that's the formula. Net operating income by the income expense the interest expense minus the cost recovery expense. Okay, so it said net operating income of 150,000. Sorry, here. 150,000 Okay, hold on here. 150,000, that's the net operating income. Minus the interest expense was 105,000, right? Look, interest payments of 105,000. So gets to deduct that. So it's income minus expenses. So the interest is considered a tax shelter, which we get to deduct. Minus, okay, the recovery cost, which was 7,000. So it's going to leave them with a small amount, right? 150 minus 105. So we have 150 payments minus 105,000 interest minus 7,000 annual recovery rate. So what does that give us? So if anybody calculates that, so we have 105 from 150, that's 45,000, right? Minus 7 gives us what? 38, right? 38,000. Is that correct? 38 is 35. Yes. Okay. So we have 38,000 is taxable. And what is the tax rate? 28%. So decimal point. This is dollars. So what does that equal? So that equals $10,640. Put your units on there so we know that it's dollars. So the answer here is C, 10,640. So we had the net operating income, which they gave us. We don't need the principal payments. We don't write off the principal payments. Okay, that reduces our principal balance. So that's our equity. So 150,000 is the net income minus the interest payment, that is a write-off, minus the annual cost of 7,000, and then we multiply by 28%. So 150 minus 105 minus 7,000 times 28% gives us 10,640. So the answer is C. Nobody likes math problems. Nobody is responding. All right. So that's going to be it for math. We've taken 30 minutes, and I'm going to stick to the time, right? 30 minutes. So 10,640 when they had a net income of 150. So we got to deduct a lot, 105,000 interest and 7,000. So the interest, right, is from the mortgage. We get to write off the interest. They could have also added property taxes. They didn't include that. Okay. So the fact that there's principal, we don't get any write-off for the principal. That just lets us know we have that much equity in the property already. Any questions? All right, so we're going to shift into Texas questions. Let me see where we're at with Texas. We were on special topics. Let's see here, 16.6 on page 219. Yes, there we go. All right. And so anybody watching, we're doing the same book by the Metling family that you can purchase on Amazon. Okay. The link is in the description. Just know that should you use my link to purchase the book, Amazon does pay me a fee. All right. So take your national hat off and put your Texas state hat on. Anybody here that was here for national, hey, happy Thanksgiving. Have an awesome day tomorrow. Okay, 16.6. So the topic here, special topics in Texas real estate. So that's what these questions are. Following the tax sale in a foreclosure proceeding. Okay, so the tax sale happened when it was foreclosed. A homeowner can regain full ownership of the property by paying all amounts owed plus fees and charges, attorney's charges, filing charges, all those types of things. In this scenario, which of the following is a true statement? A, the homeowner may do this since he is exercising his equitable right of redemption. B, the homeowner may only exercise a statutory right of redemption prior to the tax sale. C, the homeowner may in fact exercise the statutory right of redemption provided the property is the principal residence. Or D, the homeowner may exercise the statutory right of redemption provided it is done within 3 years of the tax sale. So which one is correct about Texas foreclosures and tax sales? So this is a foreclosure having to do with owing property taxes. So there's certain rules and certain laws that go with a property being foreclosed for property taxes. So type your answer in the chat. All right. Hey, Delta, how's it going? All right. So we're on Texas State questions. Anybody that just joined us? So Delta says 16.6C. Anybody else? You are absolutely correct, Delta. The answer is C. The homeowner may, in fact, exercise the statutory right of redemption provided the property is the principal residence. It has to be their primary residence that they occupy, and they will have 2 years right of redemption. So in that right of redemption, the first year they're going to pay 25% interest on the amount that was owed as far as taxes plus all other expenses. The second year, they pay 50% interest on the tax amount that was purchased by the investor plus expenses. It becomes a big cost. However, if it's a high price property and the taxes were really low, then it is probably worth it to pay the 25% interest or 50. So basically, we have credit cards sometimes and we're paying 22% interest, 25% interest, right? So if we don't pay it off, then our interest amount goes up, not necessarily interest rate. Some credit cards could increase the interest rate. So it's a reasonable amount. And that's why investors purchase properties at tax sale, because they can, in the meantime, if it has a house they could end up renting and make income. They cannot sell it within 2 years because that gives the owner a right to redeem the property by paying the taxes owed. And the investor gets to make 25% interest the first year on the amount or 50% interest on the second. So if the taxes were $10,000, the investor makes 5,000. See, 25%, a quarter of that, okay? The first year, 2,500. The second year, they'd make 50%, 5,000. So 5,000 profit on a 10,000 investment at a tax sale. That's pretty good, right? 50% profit. And the other fees have to do with the foreclosure process, the cost of it. So every state has a redemption law, and it may be different years in different state. Here in Texas, it's a 2-year redemption, right of redemption. All right, number 7. Let me see if I can get that a little bit bigger. There we go, in case somebody's watching it on a phone. Which of the following agreements are enforceable? A verbal 30-day month-to-month lease. B, an oral agreement to buy an oil interest in a property. C, a written lease signed by the landlord's son and unauthorized representative. Or D, an oral property conveyance between a judge and a juror. Type your answer in the chat. So 16.7, what is the answer? Which one is an enforceable result? Verbal 30-day month-to-month, oral agreement to buy oil interest, written lease signed by landlord's son, an unrepresented person, unauthorized representative, or an oral property conveyance. It is not C, Delta. The answer is actually A verbal 30-day month-to-month lease. Because remember, month-to-month leases, anything that is less than a year does not have to be in writing. Better to have it in writing. However, they can have a lease for less than a year that is oral. You answered C. So which one is enforceable? A written lease signed by a landlord's son and unauthorized representative, that is not enforceable. It has to be the owner of the property. Yes, I understand that. You misread it. I had misread things too. Okay. So totally understand that. Okay, so I like my bubble. Yeah. So which one do you like? The bubble? Oh, no, that one's too big. I'm talking about the setting on the bottom. I like that one. All right, number 16.8. Yeah, you know what, Delta, I have misread questions during class myself and made the mistake. And sometimes you, as the students, catch it and correct me. So it's okay. As long as you, excuse me, as long as you caught it. That's how easily we can miss a problem. Because we might be reading one thing and our mind is thinking another. That's why I encouraged at the beginning, we have to have our mindset correctly to be confident and have belief that we're going to learn and remember everything that we're studying and have a good schedule. Have you ever misread contacts or contracts in a transaction? Well, if I misread anything, our compliance department is going to catch it, or the other side, the other realtor or the client. We do make mistakes, okay, sometimes on contracts, but somebody's going to catch it. That way we have a client's department and we pay error and omission. And, other realtors and other clients, everyone has to review it. So we have multiple eyes on a contract. We have actually at least 4 eyes: the listing realtor, the buying realtor, the buyer, and the sellers. So sometimes it could be 2 buyers and 2 sellers. So then we have 6 individuals looking at it. Yeah, I understand what you meant, contracts. Yes, so it does happen. So that's why it's very important to have errors and omission, okay, to protect us. All right, number 8. Which of the following is a legitimate power granted to a landlord or a tenant? Okay, a legitimate power granted to a landlord or a tenant. A tenant's right to vacate a week-to-week rental with at least 1 day's notice. B, a tenant's right to apply the security deposit to the last month's lease in the absence of damage. C, landlord's right to evict a month-to-month lease tenant with 30 days advance notice. Or D, a landlord's right to waive liability for not maintaining habitability of the premises. So which of the following is a legitimate power granted to either a landlord or a tenant? So which one is a true statement? Type your answer in the chat. Actually, no. Security deposits are not allowed to be applied to the last month's rent per the lease agreement, unless the landlord accepts it. But then if the security deposit is applied towards the last month's rent, what is the landlord going to have for damages, should there be any, on the apartment? The security deposit is there in case there's any damages in the apartment before it is returned back to the landlord. So the landlord has 30 days to evaluate, inspect the apartment, and decide whether there's cost to be taken from the security deposit. And if it's used for the last month's rent, there's nothing to fall back on for the landlord for damages. So no. The answer is C, landlord's right to evict a month-to-month lease tenant with 30 days advance notice. Oops. Hi, Anai. Yes, the answer is C. So think about it. Maybe you've never rented an apartment or a house. So security deposit is a protection to the owners in case there are damages or repairs. That's subtracted from the security deposit, and any balance left is returned to the tenant. Okay, number 9. Which of the following is true regarding subletting a rental property? Subletting, okay, what does that mean? To sublet a property. A, tenant may freely assign unit if leases for more than 5 years. B, tenant may assign or sublet, but must return property to original condition prior to the subtenant's occupancy. C, tenants are free to assign their lease obligations, but may not sublet without the landlord's permission. Or D, tenants must obtain landlord's prior consent to sublet the apartment. So which is true about subletting? Can tenants freely do it? Can tenants assign or sublet and return the property to the original condition prior to subtenant's occupancy. Tenants are free to assign their lease obligations, but may not sublet without landlord's permission. Or D, tenant must obtain landlord's prior consent to sublet the apartment. There's Miss Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Yeah, we started the state a little bit early. We started at 6:30 because we're having only an hour class tonight. So you all can go and enjoy your evening. So we've done, this is our fourth Texas state question. The answer is not B as in boy. It is actually D, okay? The tenant must obtain landlord's prior consent to sublet the apartment. So they cannot sublet without a landlord's approval, and it may state it already in the contract, in the lease agreement. B says tenant may assign or sublet, but must return property to original condition prior to the subtenant's occupancy. Well, they have to return it to the original condition even after the subtenant leaves. The most important thing is they must obtain landlord's prior consent to sublet the apartment. All right, number 10. Which of the following is not a landlord justification for keeping a tenant's security deposit? We talked a little bit about it just a moment ago. A, to eliminate normal wear and tear to the apartment, including painting and carpet cleaning. B, to offset rent owed by the vacating tenant. C, to repair damage of the plumbing system. Or D, to cover excess damage caused by a dog, even though dogs are permitted. So which one is not, okay, not a landlord justification for keeping a tenant's security deposit? Right? Security deposits are kept for what? For damages done by the tenant, their guests, or their pets. If the property is returned in the condition that they received it, then they get all their deposit back. If it's not, then the landlord starts to deduct it, and they have 30 days in which to do it. All right, so I have A, C, A. And the answer is, which one is not a landlord justification? To eliminate normal wear and tear to the apartment, including painting and cleaning. Okay, that is a responsibility of a landlord who owns an investment property and they're making money monthly. That's normal wear and tear. The security deposit is for damages caused by the tenant, their guests, or animals, or any other type of caused by the tenant. So the answer is A. All right, so who got it right? Let's see, Delta, Cindy. Do you get it, Anai? Because you said to repair damage to the plumbing system. If the plumbing problem was caused by the building, not by the tenant, then it is the landlord's responsibility, not the tenant. Now, if the tenant clogged the plumbing system by throwing stuff in the toilet or in the sink that they shouldn't have, then that is the tenant's responsibility because it was caused by the tenant, not by the landlord, just plumbing system. And every state has tenant and landlord laws that both parties can resort to and follow. For the most part, the laws protect the consumer, which is the tenant. And when the landlord follows the rules and all the steps that are supposed to be and provides a habitable property, they can win a lot of cases when a tenant complains just because they think they can complain or they're not happy for whatever reason. I know because I've had it happen. There are what they're called slumlords, really bad landlords, and there are good landlords. There are excellent tenants and there are shitty tenants that think they can get away with anything and everything, when sometimes they abuse the system. So there's good and bad on both sides, okay? All right, number 11. In maintaining proper relations with tenants, landlords and tenants are obligated to meet certain apartment security standards, okay? Certain apartment security standards. Which of the following accurately identifies one such standard? A, tenants may alter security devices, but at their own expense. B, landlords must install window locks in occupied buildings. Tenants must install security bars for all glass doors. C, all security devices must be repaired within a 30-day time frame following tenant's written notice of the despair. Or D, the landlord must rekey the locks within 7 days following a tenant's vacating. And these are in the state of Texas, okay? These are Texas related questions, not national ones. I'm impressed for those of you that are here tonight. I worked all day. I had a long day. And so I understand I'm writing an offer and I scheduled 2 appointments doing cold calling. I'm getting better at the cold calling. Been doing it 30 days yesterday. Now, have I been doing it every single day? No. Why? Because I had a lot of reluctance because I didn't like cold calling. But I've gotten better and better at it. Practice makes perfect. Or practice gives us better chances of getting listing appointments. All right, so the answer is 11D. Very good. All right, number 12. Texas Property Code Chapter 92 is very specific about fire safety regulations. According to code, what? A, there must be a smoke alarm on at least the ground level of a 2-story duplex. B, fire alarms must be inspected annually by the landlord. C, tenants are responsible for inspecting and repairing fire extinguishers. Or D, there must be a smoke alarm in every bedroom of a dwelling unit. Type your answer in the chatty chat. Right, so we've got D. Anybody else? So anybody who's watching on YouTube, remember to like this video if you find it useful. Send me some love and some support. Yes, the answer is D. Awesome. There must be a smoke alarm in every bedroom of a dwelling unit. A lucky streak, all if you got it right. All right, number 13. Utility service to tenants is regulated by Property Code 92. One of these regulations is that what? A, tenants are responsible for all utility charges if the apartment lease exceeds 1 year. B, tenants may not pay a landlord's utility bill to avoid any service interruptions. C, the landlord may not cause utility service to be interrupted to the tenants as a means of to collect unpaid rent. Or D, if a tenant is forced to pay a landlord's water bill for the apartment, the tenant nevertheless must continue to pay rent in full. All right, so far we've got 1613C. C. Anybody else? Okay, Nai, I'm waiting for you. There's a couple more on you here. Go ahead and participate. Don't be shy, okay? Going once, going twice, gone. The answer is C. The landlord may not cause utility service to be interrupted to the tenant as a means to collect rent. Anai B says tenants may not pay a landlord's utility bill to avoid any service interruption. Well, that is not true. The tenant can't pay. Let's say, they've got a whole family in this apartment and the landlord is behind the utility bill if it's included in the rent. Well, the tenant can pay for it and then file a claim against the landlord to collect that or deduct it from the rent. More than likely, they'll have to go to a small jurisdiction court to collect that rent, because otherwise they're going to be without utilities, right? Sometimes tenants make repairs to the apartment and landlord reimburses. It cannot be done as a form of retaliation. They're still required to pay their rent according to the lease agreement. Okay, number 14. Leases may be terminated in legitimate ways or by other means which may be unlawful. By which of the following is perfectly legitimate cause for lease termination that does not carry a legal financial liability? A, abandonment. C, B, conveyance of the property by landlord or another owner. C, death of the tenant. Or D, expiration of the lease term. So it's which of the following is perfectly legitimate, a legitimate cause for lease termination that does not carry a legal or financial liability? So only one of them is correct. You guys are on, you ladies and gentlemen are on the ball. Answering right away. Well, I'm sure you've seen these questions before because I've done them before. Yes, the answer is 1614D, expiration of the lease term. If a tenant dies and there is a lease, then their trust or their will is responsible for continuing to pay the remaining of the lease, the remaining term of the lease. It doesn't legally terminate the lease. Okay, so it was leases may be terminated in legitimate ways. The fact that someone dies is a not, oh my gosh, I typed 2 answers in one box. What the heck did I do there? Oh, I had copied and pasted. Okay, so a little confusing. Expiration of the lease term is a legitimate way of terminating a lease. Okay, it ends because it terminated. Now, a lot of leases will convert to month, but the year lease ended, and then it went into a month-to-month type of lease. So both of those are legitimate. All right, number 15, and this will be the last question of the evening. It's 7 o'clock, and I said I'd let you go. So actually I'm going to stick to my word, and I'm going to let you go at 7 o'clock. Okay, so we will continue on Saturday, okay, with more national questions and Texas state questions. Any questions before we call it a night and go enjoy our evening before Thanksgiving tomorrow? No? All right, y'all. Thanks for tonight. Thank you for the love on the YouTube channel. If you haven't gone to click the thumbs up, remember to click the thumbs up, show me your appreciation, that you find it valuable. And if this is your first time to my YouTube channel, YouTube Agent Prep, tap that subscribe button, click that little bell so you're the first to get notified every time I go live, and like this video, okay? As the screen shows on the bottom, subscribe, like, and click the bell. Okay, y'all, happy Thanksgiving. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. Until next time, catch you later.